Anatomy 32, Chapter 22, the Endocrine System, Topics Anterior and Posterior Pituitary Glands. So the anterior pituitary gland, which is again controlled by the hypothalamus, is able to produce 7 different hormones with a wide range of functions. First of these hormones is the human growth hormone. Human growth hormone stimulates many functions in the body, stimulates the liver, muscles, bone, etc. to grow by secreting insulin-like growth factors. And it sort of acts like a cascade effect, so that the small amount of growth hormone produced has a big effect throughout the body. And there are many, many cells in the body that have receptors for the human growth hormone. So it's a full body effect. Second is the thyroid stimulating hormone. As the name implies, it stimulates the secretion of thyroid hormones by the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland, as you know, is found in the neck area. So here is an example of how those tropic hormones function. So the hypothalamus will secrete the thyroid stimulating hormone, releasing hormone, that will then travel to the anterior pituitary gland and stimulate it to release the thyroid stimulating hormone. And then that hormone goes to the thyroid gland, causing the thyroid gland to produce thyroid hormones, which then go on through the bloodstream to their targets and cause their effects. Now, when the levels of thyroid hormone in the bloodstream are optimal, the hypothalamus will switch from producing the thyroid stimulating hormone releasing hormone to producing the thyroid stimulating hormone inhibiting hormone. So the hypothalamus is observing the levels of thyroid hormone in the bloodstream to determine whether to produce the releasing hormone or the inhibiting hormone. All right, the third hormone produced by the anterior pituitary gland is the follicle-stimulating hormone. This hormone affects the ovaries and testes. In the ovaries, it leads to the development of oocytes, of egg cells that can then be fertilized, and also the secretion of estrogens. So development of oocytes and the secretion of estrogens, which is kind of hormone. In the testes, the follicle-stimulating hormone leads to sperm production. Second is the luteinizing hormone. This hormone also affects the ovaries and testes. In the ovaries, it leads to the secretion of estrogen and progesterone, as well as ovulation, of release of the oocyte. And for the testes, luteinizing hormone causes the testes to produce the hormone testosterone. Hormone 5 is prolactin. Prolactin affects the mammary glands and is involved in milk production. So prolactin leads to milk production in the mammary glands. Hormone number 6 is the adrenocorticotropic hormone. That's a big name. The adrenocorticotropic hormone affects the adrenal cortex, which is a gland in the endocrine system, and causes it to secrete glucocorticoids, which are types of hormones. So adrenocorticotropic hormone stimulates the release of glucocorticoids by the adrenal cortex. And what it does is in its name, adrenocortico, so that's adrenal cortex, adrenocortico, tropic hormone. It's a tropic hormone. And 7, the 7th hormone is melanocyte stimulating hormone. The melanocyte stimulating hormone stimulates the production of skin pigmentation by the melanocytes, by the pigment cells in skin. It's also thought that this hormone can affect some brain activity, but it is not well understood what that might be. Again, here are the 7 hormones produced by the anterior pituitary gland: human growth hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, prolactin, adrenocorticotropic hormone, and melanocyte stimulating hormone. So, which of these hormones are tropic hormones? I'll pause briefly to let you think about that and decide which ones are tropic hormones. You could always pause it if you need more time to think. It turns out the answer is these four. These four hormones are tropic hormones. Thyroid stimulating hormone causes the thyroid gland to produce hormones. Tropic hormone. Follicle stimulating hormone can cause the ovaries to produce estrogen. So tropic hormone. Luteinizing hormone can cause the ovaries to produce estrogen and progesterone, and the testes to produce testosterone. So again, a tropic hormone. And adrenocorticotropic hormone has it in its name, tropic hormone, because it causes the adrenal cortex to produce a category of hormones. Prolactin is not tropic because it is not leading to the production of hormones. Same for melanocyte stimulating hormone and growth hormone. All right, so pituitary dwarfism. This occurs in people who have a hyposecretion of human growth hormone, so low levels of production of human growth hormone. People with pituitary dwarfism have a body that is significantly shorter than expected, but all of their body parts are to scale. So they just look like a very small person, very small adult when they're grown up. Giantism is the hypersecretion of human growth hormone. So hypersecretion produces a lot of growth hormone, and so these people grow significantly taller than would be expected. But again, their body is proportionally correct for their size. All right, the posterior pituitary gland. The posterior pituitary gland stores two hormones produced by the hypothalamus. So the hypothalamus produces these hormones and deposits them in the posterior pituitary gland via a modified kind of neural cell. So one of these hormones is oxytocin. Oxytocin is a hormone that stimulates contraction of the uterus, very important during birth of a child, and also stimulates milk ejection, so the release of milk from the mammary glands. So stimulates the uterus for contractions and the mammary glands to release milk. However, it's also known that oxytocin has effects on the brain. Specifically, high levels of it are known to make people more trusting, make people more loving. It's thought that the high levels of this hormone during childbirth helps the mother to bond with the baby. And men also produce oxytocin, even though they aren't looking to have milk ejected or a uterus contracted. It is important, of course, for men to be trusting and loving too. The second hormone is antidiuretic hormone. Antidiuretic hormone is produced when you are somewhat dehydrated. So it has two big functions. One is it conserves body water, so it reduces the amount of water the body loses. So by decreasing urine volume, so it stimulates the kidneys to make more concentrated urine, darker urine, urine with less water in it. And it also decreases perspiration, so that there's less sweating. Again, therefore, less loss of water. Another function of antidiuretic hormone is it raises blood pressure by constriction of blood vessels. So it makes blood vessels, arteries especially, narrower, which then would decrease blood pressure. And this is because when you are dehydrated, your blood volume goes down. When your blood volume goes down, your blood pressure goes down. So by constricting blood vessels, that helps to raise the blood pressure to keep it at an ideal level. That is it for this part of the lecture.